The stunning image south of the border in Mexico today, and it comes, of course, after those 4 Americans were kidnapped, 2 of them shot and killed.
In the shadowy world of cartel violence, where bodies disappear without a trace, and justice is nothing more than a myth, some Americans made one fatal mistake. They thought they could outsmart the most dangerous organizations on the planet. What started as simple greed or misguided ambition quickly spiraled into horror as these individuals found themselves entangled in a deadly web. They were lured by promises of wealth and excitement, but they didn't realize they were stepping into a nightmare. What happens when you cross the line and make a deal with the devil? For these 5 Americans, the cost was more than they ever bargained for, and now they're paying the price with their lives, freedom, and sanity. David Reynoso, the desperate father. David Reynoso was an ordinary man living an ordinary life in Phoenix, Arizona, but financial pressure turned him towards an extraordinary and ultimately disastrous decision. Desperate to provide for his 2 children, Reynoso accepted an offer from members of the Sinaloa cartel. It was supposed to be one quick run: smuggle methamphetamine across the border, collect the cash, and never look back. But once you're in, the cartel doesn't let you go. Reynoso became their pawn, threatened into working job after job until he was caught by U.S. Customs and Border Protection in 2017. When agents tore apart his vehicle, they found 50 pounds of meth hidden in the compartments. Reynoso was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to 20 years behind bars. His family, once his motivation, was now caught in the aftermath of his choices. Cartel threats lingered even after his arrest, casting a dark cloud over their lives. This case isn't just about Reynoso's poor decisions. It's about how the cartels manipulate vulnerable people, using them until they're no longer useful. Reynoso's story is a grim reminder of how easily the cartels can destroy not just one person's life, but an entire family's future. Jillian Martinez, the college girl turned drug mule. Jillian Martinez was living the dream. A young, bright college student from San Diego, she had her whole life ahead of her. But everything changed the day she met someone she thought was just an adventurous friend. This friend wasn't just into parties and living life on the edge. He was deeply involved with the Tijuana cartel. He introduced Jillian to a world of quick money and easy thrills, convincing her to make a few simple trips across the border in exchange for a few $1,000s. The first few trips went off without a hitch. She had no idea that her friend was using her as a mule to transport cocaine and heroin. On her final trip, she was stopped by Border Patrol officers who uncovered several kilos of cocaine hidden in her car. The fun was over. Jillian was arrested and quickly realized that the cartels don't forgive mistakes. While she served time in federal prison, she lived in constant fear that the cartel might come after her family in retaliation for her arrest. Her college dreams were shattered, and her bright future turned into a living nightmare. Jillian's story shows how even those who seem the most unlikely candidates can get caught up in the dangerous game of cartel operations. William Morgan, the good doctor, gone bad. William Morgan was not your typical cartel member. He was a respected physician in Texas with a comfortable life and a thriving practice. But behind his respectable facade, Morgan was playing a dangerous game. In 2015, he was approached by members of the Gulf Cartel with a lucrative offer: write prescriptions for massive quantities of controlled substances like oxycodone and fentanyl, and in return, he'd receive a hefty sum of money. At first, it seemed like easy money. After all, who would suspect a doctor of being involved in the cartel? But as the bodies began piling up due to overdoses from the very pills Morgan was prescribing, the DEA launched an investigation. In 2018, he was arrested in a sting operation. His medical license was revoked, and he was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. Morgan's greed blinded him to the lives he was destroying. He now lives in isolation behind bars, fearing the long reach of the cartel that once paid him so handsomely. The Gulf Cartel does not easily forgive those who fail them, and Morgan knows that his sentence may not protect him from their vengeance. Jason Flores, the streetwise hustler who went too far. Jason Flores grew up on the streets of Los Angeles. A small-time hustler with dreams of making it big, Flores thought he was street smart enough to survive anything. When he began selling small quantities of drugs, it wasn't long before the Mexican cartels took notice. They saw potential in him and offered him a way into their ranks, promising him more money than he could ever dream of. But Flores overestimated his abilities. In a brazen move, he started skimming money from the cartel's drug deals. For a while, he thought he was getting away with it, until the day they caught him. In 2019, after discovering the missing funds, cartel enforcers tracked him down. Flores was kidnapped, beaten, and tortured for days. He was eventually released with a warning: return the money or his family would be next. But by then, it was too late. Flores had already been arrested by the FBI during a drug raid, and the money was long gone. Now serving a 30-year sentence in a maximum security prison, Flores knows he's living on borrowed time. The cartel never forgets, and they never stop hunting those who betray them. Kevin Corbett, the lawyer who got in too deep. Kevin Corbett was a high-powered defense attorney in Miami, known for representing clients with deep pockets. In the early 2000s, Corbett took on a new client, a wealthy businessman who, unbeknownst to him, was heavily involved with the Zetas cartel. The relationship started off normal enough, but soon Corbett found himself being asked to do more than just represent his client in court. He was asked to launder money, falsify legal documents, and even negotiate cartel deals under the guise of legitimate business. For a while, it seemed like Corbett was untouchable. He was living a lavish lifestyle, far removed from the violence of the cartels he was now working for. But in 2015, a DEA operation targeting cartel finances uncovered Corbett's illegal activities. He was arrested, disbarred, and sentenced to 40 years in prison. The Zetas cartel, furious that their trusted attorney had been caught, made it clear that Corbett would pay for his failure. Now he spends his days in constant fear that cartel hitmen will find him, even behind bars. These 5 Americans, all from different walks of life, made the fatal mistake of getting involved with the ruthless cartels. Whether out of desperation, greed, or ignorance, they each believed they could control the situation. But the cartels always have the upper hand. Their power is built on fear, violence, and an intricate web of control that stretches far beyond the borders of Mexico. Each of these individuals learned too late that messing with the cartels means playing a game you can never win. Their stories stand as a warning to anyone tempted by quick money or excitement. When you dance with the devil, there's no escape from the consequences. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more gripping stories like these. Stay safe and vigilant.